family. It's Fearfully Made, and I'm back with another message regarding kingdom spouse and kingdom marriages. And I just want to kind of go over some stuff that you may have to endure within your marriage. So I sat here and I made a list for you guys, and I hope that this helps in your journey of courting your kingdom spouse. Before I even continue, I just want to say, in order to even keep your marriage flowing, this kingdom marriage together, you have to keep God first and keep God close, because the only reason why you are even in this kingdom marriage is because of God. Like, without God, there is no kingdom marriage, right? All right. So the first thing that I have on this list is men have to lead the wives in the marriage, because, and the reason why I feel this way is because um you know naturally women are just like really emotional in nature, and men are just logical thinkers. And that kind of brings me back to Adam and Eve, and why the devil chose to entice Eve instead of going to the more logical thinker, Adam, as the male, because he knew that he could entice Eve through her emotions. And that's what's happening in a lot of kingdom marriages. It's going to be a lot of suitors um, trying to separate. And a lot of these suitors are really just agents of Satan, trying to separate the marriage by either sending people to try to flirt with your wife, to um, try to make the kingdom spouse or the kingdom husband jealous, so that it could possibly ruin the marriage. And in that case, ladies, if you know that there are suitors that are trying to make your kingdom husband jealous, and people are being sent to try to flirt with you or to sabotage your kingdom marriage, don't hesitate to cut them off. Completely cut them out of your life. As a matter of fact, don't even talk to men. Cause cause you just never know. Like, you can talk to guys. Like, there are some men that are okay with that. But if you feel like your spouse might be, that your spouse might not really want you talking to another man, especially because you guys are in the courting phase. So you don't really want that outside energy, like, affecting your courting stage with your husband. I would definitely refrain from talking to other men. Like me, I've literally cut off every male friend that I have in my phone, because I don't want that to interfere with my courting phase with my kingdom husband. That part is optional for anybody, but for me, I don't want the energy of my courting phase to be tainted by other men. You know what I mean? And it's just out of respect for my kingdom spouse. Men, as you lead your wives, understand that your spouse is not going to be perfect. Um, and that goes for husbands too. Like, our spouses are not going to be perfect. Neither one of us are going to be perfect. But I believe the Most High even put you guys together is because you guys both have a heart for Him. You both have a heart for God. There's a difference between someone who's like in the world and has no desire to leave the world, and someone who has a heart for God and feels like they owe God their whole life. Like me, for example, I feel like I'm like in debt to God. He's delivered me from so much. It's just like I feel like I owe him. Like, the least I can do is serve him for the rest of my life, right? And so if you see that your spouse um has a heart for God, and just really desires to serve God, understand that he or she is not perfect. They fall short of the glory of God just like everybody else. Try your hardest not to judge them. Try to be patient with them, and just continue to hold their hand and pray for them. Don't be so quick to give up on them, okay? Some of your spouses, they're surrounded by people who know that they've discovered who their spouse is, right? There's a lot of people who are jealous. Some of you have spouses that were in past relationships or courted people in the past who are not happy to see them move on, who are in the background conjuring up ideas on how to ruin your marriage with your kingdom spouse. There are people who just don't really want to see your spouse happy. So there's a lot of witchcraft attacks that are going on, and so when you know that your spouse is going through all of those things, have patience with your spouse and understand that your spouse is going through a lot of warfare. They're battling through a lot of warfare. And so don't be so quick to give up again. Just continue to pray for your spouse, hold your spouse's hand. That's the thing. Like, the devil, like, he never ever wanted us to learn who our spouses were. Like, he never wanted us to come to the knowledge of who our kingdom spouse is. And so the fact that we know who our spouse is enough for the devil to just really, you know, turn it up. There's so many people out here that have no idea who their kingdom spouse is because they never had that relationship with God, and they never got close enough to God to find out who their spouse was, right? And so it's so when you do find out who your spouse is, the person that the Most High has ordained you to be with, it really ruffles, some feathers over on the dark side, because they're like, she wasn't supposed to know who her husband was, or he wasn't supposed to fulfill destiny. And so it's a lot of witchcraft that's going to come up against you or your spouse because of the fact that they figured out who you were. And so because of that, just try to have patience with your spouse again, um, help them fight off that warfare through prayer continuously. Also, there's a lot of suitors. There's going to be women trying to talk to your husband. And shout out to all of the husbands who have been fighting them off. We know what you guys are going through, and we appreciate it. And then there's also a lot of suitors that are trying to court the kingdom wife. Ladies, again, like, if I were you, like me personally, just refrain from talking to men. Especially like me, this week I've cut off all of my male friends because I knew it was just a distraction, and it's not really healthy during a courting phase. Maybe like when you guys are closer and you guys get to know each other more, um, then you can probably have male friends again. If not, whatever. But do whatever your husband's comfortable with. If your husband doesn't want you talking to other men, period, just cut him off. Like, it's nothing wrong with just having female friends. And that's just my personal advice. Like, you don't have to take it, but that's just what I'm doing. Like, I really prefer not to have male friends anyway, because I don't really have anything in common with men anyway, so it doesn't really matter. In my personal experience, like, I've had to friend zone, you know, a couple of guys. And so it's just kind of like, and then it's like after I friend zone them, they kind of find their way outside of the friend zone. And then it's just like they say something, and then I have to walk them back to the friend zone. And it's just like, you don't want to have to keep walking these guys back to the friend zone. Like, they know what they're doing, and they understand when they've been friend zoned. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, these suitors, a lot of them are just agents trying to sabotage your kingdom marriage. Kingdom husbands, don't accept any bad advice from other men, bitter men, mad men. Like, don't accept negative or toxic advice from men regarding your marriage. Always take your advice from the Lord. Ask God what he wants you to do concerning your marriage. Don't listen to anybody else, because 9 times, especially if the person's single, 9 times out of 10, they're just bitter. And that's the same thing with women. Like, if you know that you're courting your kingdom spouse, don't take no advice from especially single women who may have been hurt or sound bitter and have like negative advice to give you. If it's not pushing you two together, don't take the advice. Also, I have people trying to manipulate you to leave your wife or your husband. Again, if they can't send people to entice you to be with you, or offer you things in order to be with you. Like, I've had people offer me a lot of things, and I've literally just been shutting it all the way down because it's not who God has ordained me to be with. So it's like, ladies, stand your ground. Like, if you know that that's not your God ordained spouse, don't do it. It's not worth it, because it's all, if anything that's not of God is going to come crumbling down. Like, it could last years. I've known people that have been married for 20 years and still got a divorce because they were not meant to be together. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, there are going to be people trying to manipulate you. Like, I've had people sit and tell me, like, "Oh, are you sure that that's your husband? Are you sure? Like, how do you know that that's not an agent?" Like, just like saying like all types of crazy stuff. And you just got to shut them down. And like, if people still can't respect that, just completely cut them out of your life. People will, I think I've talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'm going to dive a little deeper. Like, people will go to the extremes. You don't even understand, especially exes from the past, people that you've courted in the past. Like, they will literally go to the extreme to, try to set you up somehow to make your spouse feel indifferent about you. You know what I mean? Again, like love spells, I've felt two, I think it was one heavy love spell I feel like my ex put on me, or not my ex, but somebody I was courting in the past. But like, that's something that you're gonna have to endure as well. Like, people just putting love spells on you to try to knock you off track, or just like knock your energy off so that your energy is not no longer aligned with your kingdom spouse. Again, husbands, like, be strong, guide your wife. You know what I mean? Because your wife is the weaker vessel. And so it's just like, you got to be strong for them and help guide your wife so that you guys can come together in the physical realm. One thing I'm also learning is that the relationship cannot be one sided. If there's your spouse is putting more effort into the relationship and you're not, it's going to make your spouse feel some type of way. So, one thing I'm learning is to make sure that you put forth the same effort and the same energy that your spouse is putting into that relationship, even if, it's a long distance relationship, or it's a spiritual courting. Make sure you're putting forth that same energy. And I can understand how it could be a bit difficult, especially if you feel like everything around you is just going absolutely insane. Still try to make some time out to, return the same energy that your spouse is giving you. The same energy. The same energy. All right, I'm being silly. I hope that none of these messages that I put out sounded discouraging. No, but yeah, I don't want this to sound discouraging in any way, because honestly, kingdom marriages is like one of the most beautiful things that you'll ever experience, especially the courting, especially if you guys are both anointed, and how you guys can like just communicate. You guys both being anointed is going to make hell shake, and that's another reason why you and your spouse are going through a lot of warfare. A lot of people trying to break y'all up. A lot of people doing love spells on your wife or your husband. A lot of suitors trying to entice you or your spouse. It's because you guys are going to make hell shake together. And also understand that your spouse's anointing may be way stronger than yours. Humble yourself and allow your spouse to guide you. Another thing is, like I said, I don't want to make this sound like it's a scary thing or it's a bad thing, or, because actually kingdom marriages are so beautiful, especially the courting phase is such a beautiful, it's a beautiful experience because everything is so like supernatural and spiritual, and like, it's just amazing what how much can be done while you guys are just waiting for each other to come together. It just really just Like distance and time truly is not a barrier. Like seriously, I used to hear someone say this all the time and it's like, okay, but when you actually experience, how distance and time is truly not a barrier, it's not a barrier at all. You would literally think that you know your kingdom spouse and you guys have been together for years, and just even from afar your spouse can like literally satisfy you in every area of your life while just not being there. It'll feel like your spouse is there but your spouse is not there. And it's just really, it's beautiful, it's spiritual, I love it so much. You might be dating, or your kingdom spouse might be a prophetic, which is, you got to have like thick skin for that, because if you're like a really private person like I am, all of your secret thoughts or your secret, insecurities, or like, anything you've ever done wrong, or just like, you know, things that you still kind of struggle with in your walk with God, it's going to be revealed to your kingdom husband or your kingdom wife. You guys both may be anointed. So it's like sometimes you'll even know like the thoughts that your kingdom spouse has towards you, the good and the bad. And so it's just kind of like, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Also, honesty is just key in this relationship, especially if your spouse is prophetic. 9 times out of 10, God is going to reveal to your spouse everything. So you might as well just keep it real with your spouse about how you feel about them. If you're like a possessive type of person, like let your spouse know, like, look, like I love you and I really don't appreciate you talking to other girls, or I really don't appreciate you talking to other guys. Um, because there are some people that are like that out there, and that just, that's just who they are. Not saying being possessive is healthy, because it probably isn't, but I'm just saying there are some people who just really, really don't like play like that. It's a lot of people I know that don't play like that. But like I said, like outside energy during the courting phase is just not really healthy for the relationship. So you might have some people getting mad at you because you're not answering their phone calls anymore, or you just want to, clear the energy so that, it's just you and your spouse's energy and no outside energy. Then that's, I don't find that to be possessive. I think that that's just protecting the energy of your marriage. Anyways, that's all that I have written down so far. Just understand that your spouse does really love you so much, and just be willing to risk it all for your spouse, because your spouse is ready to risk it all for you. Um, you know, um, and cut the whole world off to be with you. um, yeah, so that's all I have for today. I love you guys. Talk to you soon. Y'all will in peace.